Hey yo everyone, it is I, DPX here. Welcome back to another review. Today I am reviewing The Bad Batch Season 1. Now what do I think of this? Well, let's get into it. But before we do that, you know what to do. Be sure to subscribe if you're new, hit the bell, and leave a comment, or I'll shoot you. Simple threat, but I will. Now, The Bad Batch. I was kind of looking forward to this show, despite not really caring too much about The Bad Batch in the Clone Wars, because, like, that was a phenomenal season finale for the Clone Wars, like the final 4 episodes, and the Bad Batch arc wasn't too bad, but it wasn't the highlight, and it was also sort of just, like, you had characters like, you had Echo, not liking the rest of the Bad Batch, but at the end he joined them anyways. It was like, what the fuck? Huh? But I was interested that they announced a spin-off series for the Bad Batch, because that means, okay, you have some stories to tell about these guys. Interesting. So yeah, we'll be talking about the Bad Batch Season 1, and since it's a show, and I find it hard to talk about these shows without going into spoilers, this will be a spoiler review. So if you haven't watched, like, the whole season, alright? Because we're talking about the whole season here. If you haven't watched, be aware. Click off now, unless you don't care. If you don't care, then, hey, you're watching my video, and, thank you for that. But yeah, this takes place right after, the season, actually, I was going to say the season finale of, the Clone Wars, but this, I guess it kind of starts during that, because, we find out in, like, the finale of the Clone Wars, the execute Order 66, that's how this season starts. And I want to say this, the first episode is awesome. The first episode's a good 75 minutes long, which is fucking really cool. It was a good-ass pilot. A lot was revealed in there. We even get a cameo from Caleb, who is a young version of Kanan from Star Wars Rebels, which is cool. And we get a lot of cameos here. Cad Bane makes an appearance, who I'll get into him particularly later. Fennec Shan appears. The Martez twins appear from my least favorite arc from the final season of the Clone Wars. The Hera from fucking Rebels and Chopper, they appear. So we got some appearances. Rex appears too. We got some cool appearances. Although they don't have much of a lasting impact, and that's kind of an issue here. Someone like Cad Bane, for example, like, he showed up in episode 8, and I thought episode 8 was one of the best episodes. He showed up in episode 8 at the end, and, like, shot Hunter, and then, took Omega, or Omega. Did they say her name in so many different ways? I have no idea. Omega is her name. That's what I'm going to call her. But, I'll get into that a bit later. So I was kind of thinking Cad Bane was maybe going to be the, sort of one of the antagonists of the rest of the season, but he appears in the next episode, and that's it. He doesn't appear in the rest of the season. And I don't know, it's sort of like, it's not just specifically Cad Bane, but it's also like, appearances from Fennec Shan. Like, she is after Omega, but then at some point in the show, you don't see her anymore. Fennec isn't a part of the show anymore. Other characters like, Kanan and characters like the Martez twins, they sort of just make a one-off appearance, and that's fine. But like characters like Fennec and Cad Bane, I feel like they should have contributed more to the plot of the show, because it seemed like they had like an objective that affected our main characters, but then it just stopped randomly. I also want to talk about Crosshair. He was one of the members of the Bad Batch, but he turned and he betrayed the Bad Batch and started working for the Empire. And I thought that was a cool twist. And the stuff with him and the Bad Batch, like, in the final 2 episodes, I thought was cool. You know, their little showdown was cool, and then Crosshair being like with everyone else in the finale was cool. But I feel like that should have been like that whole like dynamic with one of the members like now turned to the Empire, and now like I feel like it should have been building up to the, you know, confrontation between like Hunter and Crosshair, and it kind of was, but not really, because like in the middle of the season, whenever Crosshair showed up, it was sort of like, yeah, right, you exist. And again, that should have been the meat of the season, you know, this dynamic between the 2 characters that are basically like, you know, they're teammates, but not anymore. And it just wasn't really explored as much, I feel. One other complaint I want to get out. I know I'm getting out a lot of complaints, but for a 16 episode long season, I got some things to say. And this probably has to do with the fact that it's a 15 episode long season. And that in and of itself is not an issue, but I feel like there are a lot of filler episodes here, and that's fine. The Clone Wars had a lot of filler episodes, but I feel like, you know, you kind of meandered for a good number of episodes. You had the first episode, the pilot, which was fantastic. And you had a bunch of other filler episodes, you know. One of them was like a plot where like Omega is playing with a bunch of other kids, playing ball with them, and is told not to go somewhere, and she goes there, and oh no, she went there, and it's like, why is this in here? And it feels like we keep getting filler episodes until episode 8. Then we started, like, episode 9 was good, but like, it's still kind of like, it wasn't as good as episode 8. And then a little bit after that, the stuff with Sid, I didn't really care for that much. That felt like filler. It was towards the end of the season, like the last few episodes, including the 2-part finale, I thought were really good and didn't feel like filler. Because all of a sudden you gotta, you know, you had a bunch of filler episodes, and now you gotta wrap up this season. I know, I went through a bunch of negatives. Before episode 8, it felt like a bit of a chore to watch this every Friday. I would honestly forget sometimes, you know. Positives. I really like the cameos and the special appearances, you know. Even if some of them didn't really go anywhere, but like the appearances from Rex, the Martez twins, you know, Kanan, I like them all. They were all very well done, you know, appearances, and they're all like one-offs. I think Rex appeared in like more than one episode, but still, it was a nice little, you know, thing. I like that. I think I said this earlier, but the first episode of this season made me care about the Bad Batch, like the characters, more than their arc in the final season of the Clone Wars. This one episode. And I thought it was very well done stuff with them, and I feel like by the end of the season, it does feel like they are all friends. They're all brothers, you know. And, oh yeah, I have to talk about Omega, right. Now, I feel like a lot of people are gonna not like Omega, and I get that, because it's just like, you know, you come here to see the Bad Batch do some cool stuff, not look after some kid. And that's what the first, like, half of the season was. Looking after this kid. But I kind of, now that we have the full season, I kind of like that, because it's sort of like, now, you know, they, you know, are they're starting to get to know her a bit, you know, but then later on, she becomes a member of the group, and they can trust her. She can, like, she's more responsible and everything. So I kind of like that sort of development. That was sort of like, it was quiet development, if you know what I mean. It wasn't like, you know, they didn't make a big deal out of that, really. It was sort of just happened, and I liked that. It wasn't the main focus, but it was cool. A lot of the action stuff was cool, and they even like set up a few things that are probably happening many years down the road in the Star Wars canon, like towards the end of the season finale, they sort of set something up that seemed to come into play in The Mandalorian, which I thought was cool. I also just want to say the theme for this show it slaps. It's a banger. I like it. It fits the show very well. That's all I really have to say about The Bad Batch. I know I should have a lot more to say about it, but really a lot of this season was filler. They were entertaining. I don't want to make it seem like this show is bad, because a lot of there wasn't like a single bad episode. I feel a lot of them were filler. A lot of them went from meh to really good. And what they renewed this show for season 2. They're having a season 2, which is good. And you realize how the Clone Wars started, and not so great. But as it went on, it got a lot better. So I don't know how many seasons the Bad Batch will have, but if it's more than just this next season, then it should get better over time. But I don't know. I was excited for this show, and it kind of disappointed me, kind of not. But I feel like I know these characters. You know, Hunter, Wrecker, Echo, who is, part of the Clone Wars before that, but still, Tick, Omega. I feel like I know them now, and I didn't before this show. So that's a plus, but there's a lot of filler, and I feel like the dynamic between Crosshair and the rest of the Bad Batch should have been explored more. And it looks like they are going to explore it more in season 2, with how it left off in this season. But I feel like, again, the season should have been building up to this confrontation, and we sort of meandered a bit, and then like the last few episodes built up to that. And I was sort of like that should have been the meat of the show, and it wasn't. But overall, The Bad Batch Season 1, I give a 7 out of 10. It's good. It's a good show. If you're a fan of Star Wars, I feel like you should watch this, especially if you're a fan of the Clone Wars and a lot of their other animated series. You'll probably just like this series, but trust me, I could foresee it getting better in the future. Anyways, that was my thoughts on the first season of The Bad Batch. Very interesting show to review, since I don't think I've ever reviewed a show that's had as many, like a season of a show that's had as many episodes as this one. But, I just did. So, The Bad Batch Season 1, what do you guys think about it? Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? If you have seen it, do you like it? Do you not like it? If you haven't seen it, do you want to see it? Do you not want to see it? Anything about the show, let me know down below. Anyways, be sure to like this video, come subscribe, or I'll shoot you. Bye!